Hi, it's Alanna Starr. I'm back on and I'm doing another video on the Christus Sophia. For this particular video, I'm going to focus more on Sophia and Gnosticism. The reason why I want to do this video is because I just became really much more inspired to really speak about this information. It's something that's been on my mind for such a long time, and so many stories and synchronicities have come into play where it's shown that I am in full authority to actually speak about this information because I've been blessed with the ability to understand it and to be able to connect with people who are living embodiments of the meanings of what Sophia is, which is wisdom in Greek. Another reason why is because there is a huge awakening happening right now, and I'm preparing to be on television and to start my own show. And it's been kind of hard for me because, as you see from some of my other videos, I have a hard time on camera. Like, I get really nervous, and most of the time things come to me randomly, and I don't really have time to get ready. I get so inspired that I just make the video, and sometimes I post them, sometimes I don't, but I'm getting more comfortable sharing as I'm going to be taking on a bigger role. And so that's why I'm making these videos. I have a lot coming through, and I don't always know that I know that I need to get ready, and I need to like have a certain appearance so people will want to watch this. I want to get people to watch it, so I have to do certain things to get their attention. And honestly, I just don't have that energy right now to do that, or the time. But I do know that the information needs to come out. It needs to be shared with the rest of the world. And the reason why is because not everybody has the time or the feelings to look up the things that I do. And so I'm doing the world a favor by taking on the role to bring Sophia's wisdom to the world, so that way you can learn to embody this energy and this wisdom, so you can lead a better life for yourself and to be fully connected cosmically in your divine sovereignty that is your birthright. And a lot of these things are our birthright. The knowledge, the wisdom is our birthright, and although many of you have not gone on the journey to find it, because you have to receive this knowledge, you have to ask for it, you have to be more involved. And so this video is just for people who are ready to take that next step. And all these videos that I'm going to be making, everything that I do is just really for people who want to hear it. But I do hope that people watch it and get something from it regardless, because there's a reason why these words are not understood by you, but deep down inside you have a connection to this information, to this knowledge. So without further ado, I'm going to read what it says for Sophia and Gnosticism on our Wikipedia site. And a lot of people have differences about trusting Wikipedia, but something tells me that Wikipedia is important, and that we should still read what it says in there, because that's a universal source of information that people go through, and I usually find really good info from it. So in school they told us that Wikipedia probably wasn't going to be accepted as a probable source of credibility, but I believe it's actually probably the opposite, that it is important to know this stuff. So like I said, I'm going to read what it says. Sophia in Greek, meaning wisdom, is a major theme along the knowledge Greek gnosis, among many of the early Christian knowledge theologies grouped by heresiologists. There's some words that I have a hard time pronouncing, and Irenaeus as Gnosticos learned. It means learned. And expanding on the definition of these groups included other syncretic and mystery religions. In Gnostic traditions, Sophia is a feminine figure, analogous to the human soul, but also simultaneously one of the feminine aspects of God. Gnostics held that she was the synergy of Jesus Christ. Example would be Bride of Christ and the Holy Spirit of the Trinity. Now, here is where I really had my eyes lit up, because from all the research that I've done, I found expansive research on the fact that Jesus refers to the Son of God, which is the Son, which is Christ, which is the Christ energy, which means it's like yes. They said that Jesus, yes, the Son is yes. So this is like Christos and the bride of Christ, which is Sophia, the Holy Spirit, which Sophia, the Holy Spirit, is the spirit that dwells on the planet Earth because of Mother Earth's energy, which is Sophia's energy that's in it. So when we become aware of this and we are filled with the Holy Spirit, we are connected to Sophia's energy, and we have that wisdom of the earth and of nature. She consciously is occasionally referred to by the Hebrew equivalent of Achamoth, which I spoke in my last video, which is Chokmah on the Tree of Life, and the Pranikos. In the Nag Hammadi text, Sophia is the lowest aeon, or the anthropic expression of the emanation of the light of God. She is considered to have fallen from grace in some way, and doing so, creating and helping create the material world. Now, we can say it's safe to say that we've been living in a patriarchal society for a very long time. It's also safe to say that there's research that shows that we worship the goddess before we worship God, in a sense. And there are some cultures around the world that still do this goddess worship. And we're also seeing this goddess worship rise again. And I think over time, with the unbalance of the masculine and feminine energy, we got off balance. And so now we're coming into the marriage of the two and into this knowledge and wisdom. 1 second. So almost all Gnostic systems of the Syrian or Egyptian type taught that the universe began with an original, unknowable God, referred to as the parent of Bythos. I actually never heard of this word, or as the monad by Moniomas. Okay, so what I'm understanding about the monad is that we come from an arc ray, a mother arc ray, a ray. So from the initial beginning, the one spontaneously emanated further aeons, being pairs of progressively lesser beings and sequence. Together with the source from which they emanate, they, from the pleroma, or the fullness of God, and thus should not be seen as a distinct from the divine, but symbolic abstractions of the divine nature. The transition from the immaterial to the material, from the nominal to the sensible, is brought out by the flaw or the passion or a sin in one of the aeons. In most versions of the Gnostic mythos, it is Sophia who brings about this instability in the pleroma. Just want to let you know that some words I cannot pronounce. I speak and think so fast that it's hard for me to get words out. So please bear with me and try not to be judgmental, because I'm not here to impress you. I'm here to enlighten you and to give you the knowledge that you need to bring forth heaven on earth. If that's your goal, then this is the knowledge that's needed at this time. So please bear with me. Pleroma. Sophia's fear and anguish of losing her life, just as she lost the light of the one, caused the confusion and longing to return to it. Through those longings, matter, and Greek, Hail, and the soul accidentally come into existence. The creations of the demiurge, also known as the Yaldabaoth, son of chaos, is the mistake made during this exile. The demiurge proceeds to create the physical world in which we live, ignorant of Sophia, who nevertheless manages and infuses some spiritual spark or phenomena into this creation. So what I think I'm getting from this is that as we have the one source of light, source of creation, well, actually the one, in the beginning we had darkness. There was nothing. There was no space or time. It was pitch black, and then there's a spark that created, and through that spark it burst forth, and Sophia, that wisdom, that missing piece, the Holy Spirit that dwells in the earth, fell into the earth and created earth, created the spark of life on earth, where she got stuck in matter. In my other video I explained Sophia's correction and how she was stuck in matter. So this Holy Spirit is the bride of Christ, which will meet through the heaven and earth. She's been stuck in this matter, and through the demiurge, all the archons, the lords, started creating using her energy on earth. They used the magic of earth and to create more physical matter, which is how we started manifesting so much stuff here on earth. This is just what I'm taking from that. And the pistis Sophia, Christ is sent from the Godhead in order to bring Sophia back into the fullness, right? So the fullness, this is why Essenes and all the great leaders, the Knights Templar, they protected this knowledge of how a human can regenerate the body, how we can all become Christ. And so through the Black Heart Network, they taught us how to have more hatred and anger, and through trauma, we separate, and it's harder for us to connect to Sophia's wisdom, which is the Holy Spirit, because of our ego. And so Christ comes down at different times to collect the pieces of Sophia, to fix that correction, to get her and bring her back to one. Because ultimately, we all must be accounted for here, at each and every one of us, with our Christ and our Sophia understanding balance inside of us. Because without our bodies, we are a hermetic energy. We just manifest as man or woman depending on what lessons we need to learn and what we need to do. So it would be no surprise that I come back as a smaller woman, right? Because this is the work I'm doing, and this is the time, because this is all about the daughters of the sun, the daughters of the flame. And the reason why I said before that it probably will come through women, only because you would think that we wouldn't be able to, because of the history that we've gone through, persecutions and things like that. But we've been trained to reject it. So that's why it must come this way. Because it's not supposed to be easy for you to understand. You're supposed to do the work to find it. Because that's what it means to learn. To learn, right? We're learning things. We have a path, we follow it. And that is following the wisdom. So this knowledge is given to you, and you get wisdom from it. For those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. So Christ is then sent to earth in the form of man, Jesus, to give men the gnosis needed to rescue themselves from the physical world and return to the spiritual world, which is the Garden of Eden, which is our alpha state, the alpha mind, where we're calm and bliss, and everyone's got their own goodness inside of them, their own feeling good, and not in fear. In Gnosticism, the gospel and story of Jesus itself is allegorical, which I've also done research to find that sometimes you could sense that I believe that Jesus was a man, that he did walk the earth, that he was a prophet, that he was special, that he had Christ's energy and did the work of Christ. But at the same time, I also know that they've also made the Bible and stories of allegorical correlations between the star systems and our human body. It was an intelligent person or a group that created these books, right? And then they were rewritten by different kings that wanted to serve themselves. So we have to decipher through what's real and what's not. That's why you have to have discernment. That's why when you really have the Holy Spirit, you know what is correct and what is not. You have the church, the true church within you. It's written in your forehead, which is your pineal gland, when you are in the seat of the soul, when you are in charge of your body. And from this, it is the outer mystery used in an introduction to Gnosis, rather than being literally true in a historical text. For the Gnostics, the drama of the redemption of the Sophia through the Christ or the Logos is the central drama of the universe. The Sophia resides in all of us as a divine spark. And this is what happens when you do ayahuasca, when you do any type of things that connect you to your producing more melatonin. Or is it melatonin? Or is it melatonin? Yes. So these things create our ability to perceive things without the veil. The veil is what's going to be lifted when the bride meets Christ, when it actually happens, when the galactic alignment happens. And so just be advised that we've been taught to reject this knowledge, so that way we won't be in charge of our own seat of our own soul. Jewish Alexandrian religious philosophy was much occupied with the concept of the divine Sophia as a revelation of God inwards toward the assignment to her not only the formation and ordering of the natural universe, but the communication of all insight and knowledge of mankind. Now let me ask you something, or myself. I'm asking the question, if it was not for the fact that women were under persecution, you would reject this. Doesn't it make you think, why do this entertainment industry, why do they all try to why did they try to make women so unimportant? Because they knew knowledge ahead of time of what would come in the future. They had the technology to see ahead. They already knew certain families would come and certain bloodlines would emerge, and this knowledge would come forth. So, in accordance with the description given to the book of Proverbs, a dwelling place that was assigned by the Gnostics to the Sophia and her relation to the upper world defined as well as the 7 planetary powers that were placed under her. The 7 planetary spheres or heavens were the ancients of the highest regions of the created universe. They were thought of as the 7 circles rising one above another and animated by the 7 archons. These constituted the Gnostic and Hebdomad. Above the highest of them, and overvaulting it, was the Ogdoad, the sphere of immutability, which was nigh to the spiritual world. Okay, that's a lot to get. Some of this stuff I'm still learning, but at the same time, it's important to hear. So wisdom hath builded her house; she hath her own 7 pillars, and these 7 pillars, being interpreted into planetary heavens, was habitation of the Sophia herself, was placed above the Hebdomad and the Agdad. It is said further of the same divine wisdom, she standeth on the top of the high places by the way of the place of the paths. Okay. So what I'm getting from this is that I was talking to somebody earlier. I was talking to Shelly earlier about that's where the planets are in a certain place, so nothing moves, because before in blackness, like, these things didn't exist, so they had to exist, and the planets were put into play with the 7 planets with the logos. They are the ones of the other planets that took their place in the constellations. Okay. This meant, according to the Gnostic interpretation, that the Sophia has her dwelling place on the heights above the created universe. In this place of the mist between the upper and the lower world, between the Pleroma and the Ectismena, she sits at the gates of the mighty, at the approaches to the realms of the 7 archons, and at the entrances to the upper realms of the light. Her praise is sung. Okay, so I must say that when you do, I can't talk about this now. Okay, so the Sophia is therefore the highest ruler over the visible universe, and at the same time archons under whose dominion are placed, according to the astrological conceptions of iniquity, the fate of all earthly things, and more especially of man. She is the mother of all the living. As coming from above, she's herself pneumatic sense, phonematic sense, essence, the anonymus from which souls draw their origin. Okay, so we descend over and over and over again. The same thing. She's recreating herself. It's the same thing, the two together. Okay. So, descent. And reconciling the doctrine of the pneumatic of her nature of the Sophia with the dwelling place assigned to her according to the Proverbs in the kingdom of the mist, and so outside the upper realm of light, there is envisioned a descent of Sophia from her heavenly home, the Pleroma, into the void. The placenta, the Pleroma. Interesting. Into the void. Beneath it. So there's things that people believe that there's water above the clouds. There's actually water, and then here, and there's water beneath us as well. So we come from the waters of life. When the mother gives birth, the water breaks. That makes sense. There's so many things that I want to show. Okay. So the concept was that a seizure of robbery of light, or an outburst of diffusion of light dew in the kinoma, occasioned by the vivifying movement of the upper world. But in a mush, as the light brought down into darkness of this lower world was thought of and described as involved in suffering, this suffering must be regarded as punishment. This inference was further abided by the Platonic notion of the spiral fall. So this makes sense too, how I believe that, from what I know about alchemy and alchemists, that there's seven levels of alchemy, right? We have, dissolution, separation, coagulation, fermentation, right? We have these different ones in a sequence of orders. And if we come down from a spiral light way, from the same energy of the one, the same way that Sophia did, and through time, we have the crown, we have like Sophia, like the body, and it births through the levels of consciousness, the levels of alchemy. So we have to go down a physical process of alchemy to get into the mother's womb, to nest through the spark of light that comes down into the mother's womb, and we rest in there. And then we come back, we come out, and then we forget while we're here, because, you know, why else would we come down here? Like, we have to go through this process. And once we go through the process of finding Sophia and the wisdom, we remember to send that light back to the heavens of which we come from. So that's why this is not for everybody, because not everybody came down here. Not everybody was the first fruit. Not everybody has the same passion. So it's a lot. Whew. Okay, just need a moment to regather myself. And I know I need to slow down, but this is just hard to not want to give it all away. And you know, there's a lot of people that have questions, a lot of people that also don't want this information out there. And I think this is the time. The time is now. There's no better time than now. So alienated through their own fault from their heavenly home, souls have sunk down into this lower world without utterly losing the remembrance of their former state. I just said this. This is so funny. And filled with longing for their lost inheritance, these fallen souls are striving upwards. It is this way the mythos of the fall of Sophia can be regarded as having a typical significance. The fate of the mother was regarded as the prototype of what is repeated in history of all individual souls, which being the heavenly thematic origin, have fallen from the upper world of light, their home, and come under the sway of evil powers, from whom they must endure a long series of sufferings until they return into the upper world to be once safe with them. Wow, okay, so this makes sense why this suffering has to happen. And let me tell you, the suffering is real. It's real. We suffer for a reason until we learned how powerful and how divine we are all on our own, with this connection of our divine mother and father, our heavenly parents. That's why it says, thou shalt honor thy mother and father. It wasn't your mother here and your father, because we all know that sometimes our parents can be pretty mean. You know, we can lose touch with them, and it doesn't mean that we're bad. It just means that we're supposed to honor our real divine parents, the remembrance of where we come from. So, according to Platonic philosophy, fallen souls still retain the remembrance of their lost home. This is the feeling inside of us that we're longing for. The notion was preserved in another form in Gnostic circles. It was taught that the souls of the food, I'm not sure how to pronounce this word, phenomatici, P-N-E-U-M-A-T-I-C-I-E. I'm guessing it's like phenomatic, right? I'm not sure. Having lost the remembrance of their heavenly derivation, required to become once more partakers of gnosis, or knowledge of their own essence, in order to make a return to the realm of light. That word is like a phenomena, so a feminetic essence. Wow. So basically our phenomena, like our divine essence, right? In order to make and return to the realm of light. An impartation of this gnosis consists of the redemption brought and to Christ souls. But the various fortunes of such souls won't be, okay, so it's not just me that can't read. There's some typos here, like very bad typos, which is why I know they say that not to trust this site, because it's not really written it's not perfect, but it has good meaning, because I can vouch for half of this information, or like most of it, from other sources. But it's not really written easily. That's why I'm having trouble reading it. But the various fortunes of such souls were wont to be contemplated, that doesn't make sense, and those of Sophia. And so it was taught that the Sophia brought back to her long lost home the upper pleroma, in which this mother will find the entrance along with the souls of her children, and there in the heavenly bridal chamber celebrate the marriage of feast of eternity. So because we were created just like she was, until she was fully realized and all of her parts were connected and accounted for, then we can return together, which means that it was the 12 tribes, maybe more, the original ones, 144,000 that are sent to wake up, which is why we're going to wake up and remember this stuff so we could teach everybody else. So this is a lot of information right now. It's like hard to read. 1 second. So with all of this being said, there's a lot. Like, there's so much stuff. Like, being fully connected to Sophia's energy is when you can go outside and breathe with the animals, and you can breathe with everything, knowing that you are everything, and that she's inside of you, and that Christ is inside of us. That light and that matter together, like, wow. Okay, so I'll read about the formation of the lower worlds. The great mother principle of the universe appears as the first woman, the Holy Spirit, moving over the waters, and also called the mother of all living. Under her are the 4 material elements: water, darkness, abyss, and chaos. With her combine themselves to 2 supreme masculine lights, the first and the second man, the Father and the Son, the latter being designated as the Father's Anoia. From their union proceeds the third imperishable light, the third man, Christ. But unable to support the abounding fullness of this light, the mother, in giving birth to Christ, suffers a portion of this light to overflow on the side, while then Christ is Dexios, he of the right hand, mounts upward with his mother into the imperishable aeon. That other light has overflowed on the left hand. That's material world. Yep, sinks down to the lower world, and there produces matter. And this is the Sophia called Aristera, she of the left hand. Wow. Shelley pointed out that I have this tattoo on my left hand, and this really means, when I first got it, it only meant a small, powerful woman. That's all I thought it meant. But I liked it because it had the woman's sign, it had the sun, the stars, and then I added the roots for the tree of life, Mother Earth, Pachamama, and as above, so below. The 4 corners of the earth, the cardinal cross. This is Mother Earth. This is the tree of life. This is the Ein Sof. And it's so crazy because I get that I get this completely. It's so crazy. So the right hand, and that's why I have this on my left hand. My left hand, I mean. So down to the lower world, and that's where Malkuth was produced, the lower world, and produces matter. And this is Sophia, the male and female. There is here, and yet not thought of the fall, properly so called, the Valentinian system, the power which was and thus overflowed leftwards, makes a voluntary descent into the lower waters, confiding its possessions of the spark of true light. And I see that that's why we went into a dark period, because when you go too much on the left side, you create more matter and you accumulate more things and more density. And when we're more dense, when we have more things that weigh us down, we are like collecting things and hoarding things, we become more dense and more needing to stay alive and attached to things. Excuse me, I need to drink water. So we collect things. So the power which thus overflowed leftwards makes a voluntary descent into the lower waters, confiding in possession the spark of true light. It is moreover evident that through mythology distinguished from the humectatio luminis, the Sophia is yet really nothing else but the light spark coming from above, entering the lower material world, and becoming here the source of all formation, and both the higher and lower life. She swims over the waters and sets their hair into immovable mass in motion, through them into the living abyss, and taking to herself a bodily form from the Hyle. She compasses about and is laden with material of every kind, of weight and substance, so that, but from this essential spark of light, she would be sunk and lost in material. Bound to the body, which she has assumed, and the weight down thereby, she seeks in vain to make her escape from the lower waters, and hastens upwards, and to rejoin with her heavenly mother. Not succeeding in this endeavor, she seeks to preserve at least her light spark from being injured by the lower elements, raises herself by its power to be in the realm of the upper region, and these spreading out herself, she forms out of her own bodily part the dividing wall of the visible firmament, but still retains the aquatus corposus typus. Finally, seizes with the longing of the higher light, she finds the length in herself, the power to raise herself even above the heaven of her own forming, and fully lay aside her corporeity. The body thus abandoned is recalled woman from woman. Interesting. That is so much. I mean, you're witnessing me like being mind blown right now, because I was spoken to. I've connected directly to the sun and to the energy of the earth before, and I was told that it was a woman essence here on the planet. It was a motherly essence. It was a spirit of a woman. It was the Holy Spirit. It was nature, Mother Nature, Gaia, Pachamama, whatever you want to call it. All of the elements. When the body opened up here and became a life force that spark, it opened up the elements that was created. So the elements created its spirit. It's the same thing. It's the elements. So creation and redemption. The narrative proceeds to tell of the formation of the 7 archons by the Sophia herself, of all creation of man, which the mother, not the first woman, but the Sophia, uses us as a means to deprive the archons of their state, the share of light, of the perpetual conflict of his mother's part with the self-exalting efforts of the archons, and of her continuous striving to recover and again the light hidden from human nature, till at length Christ comes to her assistance and answers to her prayers, proceeds the draw of the sparks of light to herself, or himself, unite himself with Sophia, and the bridegroom with the bride, descends on Jesus, who has been prepared as a pure vessel of his reception by Sophia, and leaves him again before the crucifixion, ascending with Sophia into the world or aeon which never passed away. This is the sun. Jesus is the sun. The sun, Christ light. It's all about the same thing. The earth is Sophia. The light is Christ. Okay. In the system of the original cosmogonic significance of the Sophia still stands in the foreground the antithesis of the Christus and the Sophia, as he of light, ho dexios, and she of the left hand, he aristera, as male and female, but is a repetition of the first cosmogonic antithesis in another form. The Sophia herself is but a reflex of the mother of all living, and she therefore is also called the mother. She is the formatrix of heaven and earth, for as much as mere matter can only receive form through the light which, coming down from above, is interpenetrated the dark waters of the Hyle. But she is also the name, time, and the spiritual principle of life creation, or as the world soul as representative of all that is truly phenomatic in this lower world. Her fates and experiences represent typically those of the phenomatic soul, which has sunk down into chaos. So this is why we have sparks of magic here, that we fully aren't connected until we do that work to really reach the wisdom of Sophia. I don't believe there's anybody enlightened who does not understand this wisdom of Sophia. If there's anybody who is darkness against male and darkness against female, like man-hating, woman-hating, Sophia's loving energy is all-forgiving, all-compassionate, ever-present witness that is always understanding, because we are still learning, like we are children here. So the womb, excuse me, my mouth, my whole body feels like so much energy. So in the beginning were darkness, chaos, and water, but the Spirit dwelling in the midst of them divided them one from another. From their intermingling of darkness, the Spirit precedes the Metra, which again is kindled in the fresh desire after the Spirit. She gives birth the first four, and then to her other 4 aeons, and so produces a right and a left, light and darkness. Like she kept making mirrors, like making things. She was creating all these things. Last of all comes forth the Astrikos Aeon, who has intercourse with the Metra, the offspring whereof the gods, angels, demons, and spirits. This is how all of the things came to birth, and this is why we have different things that are created, that are different creatures. They were just created this way. Baruch Gnosis. A similar part of that of the Metra is played by the Edim, consort of Elohim. Elohim means creator gods. And Gnostic book of Baruch, which appears to the 2-shaped being formed above as a woman and the middle downwards as a serpent. Among the 420 angels who she bears to Elohim, that Elohim are the creator gods. Okay, so she bared 420 angels, which she bears to Elohim, to the creator gods. So she had offspring with the creator gods, and which form the world of her members. She second female angelic form is called Achamoth, like the legend of the Philosophomena concerned the Baruch Gnosis, that was which related to Epiphanius of the Orphite party, that they fabled of the serpent from the upper world had sexual intercourse with the earth as with women. So they did say that the giants mated with the fallen angels mated with the women, with the females. Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, that's too much, right? I mean, this is just... I'm going to skip a little bit here. The lost sheep. The most frequent designation of the Simonian Anoia is the lost or wandering sheep. The Greek divinates Zeus and Athena were every story relates to all this, were interpreted to signify Hestos and Anoia, and the manner of the tyrant sun god Hercules, Melkart, and the moon goddess Selene Astarte. So also the Homeric Helena, as the cause of a quarrel between the Greeks and the Trojans, was regarded as the type of the Anoia. The story which the fathers of the church handed down their intercourse to Simon Magus, consort Helena. So this is when all like the ancient, those like theologies of like Athena and Zeus and those stories of the ancient gods, this is when they were creating and things were happening, and then came later us mortals. which are actually immortals when we do the work. We're actually immortals. Someone doesn't like that I'm doing this. This most significant development of Sophia mythos is found in Valentinian system. The descent of the Sophia from the Pleroma is ascribed after Plato's manner to the fall, and the final cause of this fallen state of suffering is indicated, which has penetrated into the Pleroma itself. Sophia, or Meter, which is matter, I'm guessing, Meter, is the doctrine of the Valentinus, the 13th aeon of the Pleroma, form from which, having fallen out, she now is remembrance of the better world which she has thus forsaken, given birth to the Christus with a shadow. While the Christus returns to the Pleroma, Sophia forms the demiurge, and this whole lower world of the Skia, a right and left principle, which is the tree of life, the left and right principle. For her redemption comes down to Sophia from her Christus himself, as the common product of the aeons, in order to bring her back to the Pleroma and unite her again with the Sigios. Was a lot. The bridal chamber. These have a lot to do with the bride chamber, the Christ bride, the Sophia. Why was it left out? Why was the Holy Spirit not called Sophia, the wisdom? It's wisdom you have to have. Everybody can have knowledge, but if you don't have the wisdom to understand and perceive, then none of it makes sense. That's why your heart has to be pure, and you have to really do the work. So the fall, according to the doctrine of the Platomius and that of his disciples, the former of these separates himself from the Sigios and the Theletos through her audacious longing after immediate communion with the Father of all, falls into condition of suffering, and will completely met. That's why we call for the Father. It makes sense that she fell and she was like, holy shit, I need the Father, right? Unless Horos had purified her from suffering and established her again in the Pleroma. I'm making a video. I'm almost done. The place of the mist, from her dwelling place above the Hemobed, in the place of the mist, she's called, oh no, I read the wrong spot. Threw me off. Okay. So basically all of these are giving us an idea of what it means to how we descend into the body through the likes of our heavenly our parents, and how we come back to help Sophia collect her body parts to help fix the correction. This is what we're doing to correct Sophia's her fall and to reunite with Christ's energy. That is bridging heaven on earth, right? This is what all this means. And I'm going to end really soon because this is getting a little long. And so it's really crazy. The Nag Hammadi text says that she, Sophia, will cast them down into the abyss. The archons will be obliterated because of their wickedness. This is the Lord. These are the ones who have taken over the negative alien agenda, the matrix codes that they have been, the imposter spirits, the inorganic energy fields that are on the planet right now. These are the wickedness. They're going to be obliterated because they're not going to be able to understand. They have knowledge, but they don't have wisdom of Sophia, so they're not going to get very far. They've done a lot with their material wealth for so long, but if you don't have the power of the Spirit within you at this point, like, the kingdom of heaven is within you. It's been told many times that it really is. And so I understand for those who will come like volcanoes and consume one another until they perish at the one hand of the prime parent. They will perish at the hand of the prime parent. When he has destroyed them, see, this is why it's important to be like a child, to be like the innocence. Doesn't mean you stop doing human things and your sexuality. No, the perversion is what's taken over our innocent, pure hearts. To love of our bodies, a love of ourselves, right? He will turn against himself and destroy himself until it ceases to exist, and their heavens will fall upon the next, and their forces will be consumed by fire. The eternal realms too will be overturned, and his heaven will fall and break into two. His will fall down upon the blank, it says, to support them. They will fall into the abyss, and the abyss will be overturned, and they will blank the darkness and obliterate it into something it never was. So in mythology, There's stories, like I was saying, that all the stories of Disney, they've taught us the absence of the mother purposely. I believe that the ones who created the Freemasons, who created those stories, had knowledge of the Sophia, and they made stories about it and took out the mother aspect so we would not recognize it. So we've been programmed to reject it, so we cannot connect to our diamond heart. So we stay in the Nubian Black Heart Network, where we're not connected to our tribe and to our ability to ascend and descend our spirit into the body. So Carl Jung spoke of the unconscious collective. We had no idea what we were doing before, but now we know what we're doing. So Carl Jung linked the figure of Sophia as the highest archetype of anima and this depth and deep psychology. The archetypal fall and recovery of Sophia is additionally linked to a varying degree to many different myths and stories. See the damsel in distress stories here? All the stories of Disney. Isis, while who is still in the cosmic womb, brings forth the flawed elder Horus without the consort. The abduction, the rescue of Helen and Troy. The fall of Eve and the birth of Christ through Virgin Mary. Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty. Slaying of the dragons. Like, these are all things that are important to understand here. So, as I'm closing this video, again, there's my hole in the background, I did that. As I'm closing this video, I know it's kind of fast and I'm mumbling. My mouth is not big enough to get all this out. I'm not big enough to hold all this energy. It's really a lot for me. So what I'm trying to do is put all these pieces together so that way we have an idea of the stories and how that they have trapped us in stories instead of giving us the direct knowledge, the direct wisdom. We need to get out of the trapping and get to the root core of all these things. And so this is just the beginning, like I said, of stories that I'm going to be coming out with. And I have like notebooks full of stuff. So Sophia's wisdom can be linked to the Alpha mind, can be linked to heaven. And you will not get to the Father except through the Holy Spirit and understanding that you are Christ, a Christ energy, right? Like, we have to be able to understand those together. And you will not get there if you do not understand nature and wisdom of the earth and connect to that energy. Because you think you have it, but you need to experience it. You need to feel it. You need to learn it, know it, and become it. And that's how we bridge heaven and earth. So I'd love to keep going, but I'm going to end this video here. And it's been really, really awesome to read and to share this stuff. And please feel free to ask questions, to ask me to go into details about things that I actually really like when there's questions, because I have all of it inside of me and I just need to know what it is that you're questioning, and then I'll be able to look it up or pull it out of myself and share the information with people. I think I'll end actually doing a download of light language because I feel like I'm supposed to come through with something, so bear with me. In this present moment, I call upon the energy of the Christ Sophia, the Holy Sophia, the wisdom of all ages. I call upon the inner knowing that is within me in this present moment, for the right and truthful words to flow through me in the language of light and the song of Sophia's wisdom. Akshato ono hara ani esekhono tono ushu tana iniyata ini sahana ana okonong. Akmatani esho uno akmatani esohana tana eshi uni ana akmatani esosho uno ana bratana asana hono uru shahana ana okmotono usihani ini esahsha omokono asahana ana nindiri sagono osho oni tana watani asani esha oni tana amon ini esahamatono osho oni ini akmatani esahana otoro osho ono osho uno aprotona abratana yesiya ya tana asa yenishi ono sohana asaha so asohini ha asaha asani yeshona atani yesiya Sophia anashu kuna tono usuni shahna tona akmatani sahusha so So amanini sutono shomantoni ase shikomatani se alawani atana ana alanani se wushono alawani sawa 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 sawashusono ono se mania sawashakhambatani sawro ono ani awana wanani sa ono shukono rotono no sima tomotono abatani sa shamotono iyasekana akbatani se shono ariatana awroturushu ambrotana Rasatnia shohona tara arawani atini sa woshamotono Ratania sa khanatana sa ushi oni atmakani sukuna alawani sa wasini alanawini sa yakamashori tana awani sa watana matani sa shoni atini sa como oro ani haratani smukononi sini ashmatani sa ukune atani smak ani tani sa hanatanu shinu ani natana ashmatani sa khanatani ashini I ask you to speak with the eyes of the heart of the awe, not with your seeing eyes. I ask you to speak from the heart clearly and realize. And when you're being spoke to, ashmohana atani, smahana atani, sahini tini, sho ono, mono ono sehine, yishmitana, feels kuntokona, ashokhana tani, akmatani, sehana ashouro, anibaratana, amon ono yesini tana, anapushana, asuru anahana. I need to stop. But what I'm saying, what I'm feeling is you have to feel with the heart, not feel with the spirit, and not try to understand with the mind what it's saying. With that being said, I'm going to post this video no matter how dumb I look. So I want to do more videos where I'm speaking light language. Anyway, signing off. Peace be with you, and remember, the power is yours.